Did you know that Cuban deportees, especially the ones that are political dissidents and the ones seeking asylum in the US, face a significant risk of torture when they come back to Cuba? So when we ask ourselves, when will Latinos for Trump open their eyes, specifically the Cuban ones? The answer is they never will. And there's no better example than the Cuban for Trump than El Funky. He's a Cuban rapper that's currently facing deportation and possible imprisonment in Cuba since his music helped fuel anti-government protests in Cuba. Someone that's been really silent about this case is self-hating Marco Rubio, a Cuban himself. It's a perfect illustration of how much Marco Rubio has changed up during the Trump presidency. Even just a year ago, I'm sure Marco Rubio would have been the loudest person about this case. It's also a crazy example of how much Trump has changed up about Cuban immigration policies. For decades, the U.S. has rolled out the red carpet for Cubans, despite Trump refusing to help these Cubans who have overwhelmingly voted for him. They are still very much pro-Trump, including the rapper El Funky. Talk about around and never finding out.
So I heard in the news yesterday that a lot of Cuban Americans who are Trump supporters are soon going to be able to order their Cuban sandwiches in Cuba. Oh, I'm jelly.
I am really wondering how the Venezuelans are feeling right now. How they feeling right now? And I'm talking about the ones that voted for Trump. How can they live with themselves? Because we just had the Supreme Court that said they don't have any protections. Remember that video that I made that they were waiting for a Hail Mary? They really thought that there was going to be a Hail Mary jump for the court, and they didn't blame Trump at all for him lifting the TBS, talking about it was unlawful. So how are you feeling? How you feeling? Because tú votaste por Trump, right? Tú dijiste, este es mi hombre. Este es mi hombre. He hates you. He hates you. Y no lo entiende, ¿la? Y no te amas. He looks at you as less than a person. So here we are, in which TPS is no longer like a really illegal option. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but now a lot of Venezuelans are going to have to leave. Thank you to all those Trumper Venezuelans. You did this to your own people. Bye.
Folks, I honestly can't believe I'm about to say this out loud, but I sat here and had a couple of mishaps trying to start this video. The pro-Trump Cuban rapper, yes, that's what I said, the pro-Trump Cuban rapper El Funky is now facing deportation after he supported Donald Trump. I will never understand why there are people in this world who thinks that they can support Trump and he won't do what he says he's going to do to them, that somehow they'll be the ones that gets the free pass. He looked right at them and said, I do not care about you. I just want your vote. He said it to their faces, and now they're truly in the find out stage, and I really have a hard time sympathizing for people like this because they were just so over the top. I don't care how many anthems this dude wrote. I don't care how many statements he made. It's not going to stop Trump from doing what he wants to do, and it's not going to stop anyone from sending him on out of here. So I want to read you the story here over on Politico. It's crazy. And then we're going to talk more about why these people honestly believe that Trump cares about them and he won't do anything to them. They somehow think that they're safe just because they stand up there on stage with him. I promise you, he doesn't know this guy. If they've ever met, he doesn't remember this guy. This guy was nobody to him, just somebody he could use for the moment and move forward, and that's all Donald Trump has ever been about. But yeah, here it is. This is the headline that I got cracked up and had trouble reading. The pro-Cuban rapper, the pro-Trump Cuban rapper about to be deported. So here we go. In 2021, like many Cubans and Cuban Americans that summer, Florida Senator Marco Rubio was jamming out to Patria y Vida, hope I'm saying that right, the Grammy-winning protest anthem that became a rallying cry for dissidents in Cuba. The hip-hop song, whose title translates to Homeland and Life, and that'd probably be easier for me to say, Homeland and Life directly rebuked Fidel Castro. That was the cause that resonated with Rubio, the son of Cuban exiles, so much that in 2023 he introduced the Patria y Vida Act, protecting against tyrants, and expanding internet service into Cuba. So if we're going to talk about protecting against tyrants, O.L. Funky is learning the hard way that he has no protection from tyrants, no matter how many crappy songs he writes. So now one of the song's central voices, the Cuban rapper El Funky, faces removal from the United States. Earlier this month, U.S. immigration authorities denied his residency application under the 1966 Cuban Adjustment Act. He has less than 30 days now to leave the United States or face deportation and likely imprisonment in Cuba, since his music helped fuel the largest anti-government protest in Cuba for decades. I want to scroll on down here. We don't have to read this whole thing, but I want to scroll on down. Like, here's his the only elected official to offer any help so far.
Just so we're clear, you do understand that there's no path to citizenship in this country, right? There's no legal way of doing things right as an immigrant. Short of you marrying a U.S. citizen, there's no path to citizenship. Doing it legally, like you say, requires for you to go to the U.S. Embassy in your country. If you want to visit the U.S., you have to have a lot of money in the bank, a well-established business, and property so that you can get a tourist visa, because the U.S. does not give visas to the poor. So by you saying you should do it the legal way, there's no legal way. If you've been in this country for 30 years, showing up to work for 30 years, there's no path for legal status. This country, unlike other countries like Spain, for example, if you've been in Spain and you have been living in the country for 10 years and working, you can obtain legal status in Spain. And I get so tired of people saying, well, you should do it the legal way. How about y'all recognize that these people have been here for decades? How about you give these people the ability to remain in this country in a legal way without looking over their shoulder? Create a pathway to legal status. That's all Latinos want. That's all immigrants want. It's the ability to legalize their status. They've been here. They didn't just cross the border. They didn't get here yesterday. They've been here for decades, 20, 30 years. All they want is a pathway to legal status, the opportunity to do what they've been doing for the last 30 years, but the legal way. That's all they want. They're not asking for a handout. All they're asking for is to be able to work legally in this country.
Familia, did y'all hear about this? Cubanos that have historically supported the Republican Party and have been pretty outspoken about supporting Trump are now more vulnerable than ever. But let's talk about this. For many decades, people that had left Cuba came to the United States and were protected from deportations. Their anti-Castro, anti-communist perspective, anti-socialist aligned very well with the Republican Party, and they embraced that identity when they arrived to places like Florida. But under the current administration, many protections that existed have been revoked, and many people in that community are facing fear and uncertainty about what's going to happen next. Honestamente, I know for many folks it's gonna be hard to feel bad, because in many ways, they were asking for this for other communities. And it makes sense that they feel betrayed, because they were supporting this, not expecting it to affect them. Let me add one more thing. Cuban exiles in the United States are not a monolith, so of course not all of them were pro-deportation, but the ones that were happen to be the louder voices. I know many people in the community that have been talking about this aren't going to feel any sympathy, essentially saying they effed around and found out. I for one think it's sad. The idea of people losing their livelihood and being deported is just inhumane. But I want this to be a conversation. Familia, what do you all think about this? Do you have sympathy or not? Let me know.
As you may have heard, many Cubans with permanent residency may now be facing deportation after having returned to Cuba with their permanent residence card. And this is because when you file for asylum and you are granted asylum, and many of these individuals obtain their permanent residency after seeking asylum successfully, they are essentially saying that they're scared to return to their home country. And so when they did return to Cuba, now they are being flagged for committing fraud. And if in fact you travel back to your home country, whether you're from Cuba or not. If you have asylum granted and you are now a permanent resident, you should be very, very wary of traveling back to your home country and not being placed in secondary inspection when you re-enter the United States. It is obvious that you're going to be flagged, and I've been saying this for many years. You shouldn't even travel back if you are a U.S. citizen and you became a U.S. citizen by way of permanent residency, by way of an asylum granted. At any point, you are subject to a review of that. And if it is determined that you became a U.S. citizen through fraud or a permanent resident through fraud, they can try and place you in removal proceedings to take away your citizenship and or your permanent residency. So let this be a warning for anybody considering returning to your home country after affirmatively and successfully getting asylum in the United States, because this will likely flag immigration and give them a reason to place you in removal proceedings in an attempt to strip you of your status.
Well, Smarty Pants is here again. Sir, I just didn't go through the list of what Trump is canceling. TPS, CAA, parole, humanitarian. Aren't those the benefits that benefit you guys and is requiring for you to leave and your status is being canceled? Does that change the fact that your vote betrayed you? Obviously, your mind is betraying you as well. Because here you are. Every 5 seconds, I see your comments. That has no relevance. It doesn't contradict the fact that your vote betrayed you. I hope you're a citizen, because you're here fighting tooth and nail. And if you are a citizen, you don't have any criminal records. I really hope so. Because otherwise, sir, you need to be fighting to find out how the hell you're going to keep your ass here. Why the hell are you coming and attacking me? I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not part of your cause as to why the whole nonsense is happening. I actually was here every single day sharing and providing information to make sure you understood what it is that was at stake. I mean, obviously, look what you do. You're still here in denial, trying to comment things. Why the hell do I care? CAA, TPS, humanitarian parole, all the same type of program. Different for individual country or region. But guess who Trump is bringing, or already brought, in a private charter at that? White South African. Is you white? Is you white? Why the hell are you here bothering the hell out of my life? Good morning.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.